Welcome back to the podcast.
Episode number 2.
So let's kick it off straight away, starting with a spooky story or urban legend of the week. And we're starting off with the Russian sleep experiment.
It's the big one.
Yeah, you guys might already know this. It's pretty popular. It's based on a creepypasta, and it tells the tale of 5 test subjects being exposed to experimental sleep in a, how do you call it? Inhibiting sleep stimulation.
They basically deny them proper sleep.
Yeah. Now it's during the Soviet era.
No surprises.
So yeah, fine. They're always fucking testing on shit.
Yeah.
Some crazy stuff. Oh, so in the 1940s, Russian researchers kept 5 people awake for 15 days. So in the late 1940s, Russian researchers kept 5 people awake for 15 days using experimental gas based on stimulant. They were kept in a sealed environment to carefully monitor their oxygen intake so the gas didn't kill them, since it was toxic in high concentrations. The test subjects were all political prisoners, deemed enemies of the state during World War II. So everything was fine for the Russians.
Yeah.
So it started off, the first 5 days everything was normal. The subjects talked and...
Even 5 days without sleep, that's
Yeah.
still normal.
Yeah, they created all their own entertainment. Just enjoyed the...
Wait, did the gas help keep them awake?
Yeah, the gas is what...
Okay, so it's not like they were just went.
So it was like a stimulant. So it kept
Okay,
them up and going.
Because I could not go 5 days without sleep.
Yeah, no, I can't go.
Couldn't go.
And back in the day, I used to go like one night without taking fine. Now it's like, oh man, I'll crash so easily. Anyway, so the subjects hardly complained. They were fed and kept healthy for every minute. If they had any complaints, the researchers helped them. The conversations, activity were monitored, and they slowly ended up talking about traumatic incidents in their past. And the general conversation took a darker aspect after the 4-day mark.
Okay.
After 5 days, they started to complain about the circumstances and events that led them to where they were, and they just started to demonstrate severe paranoia. They stopped talking to each other and began alternating between whispering to their microphones and each other.
Oh, okay, so they got a bit weird.
Yeah. Oddly, they all seemed to think they could win the trust of the experimenters by turning over their other comrades, the other subjects the other people in captivity with them. At first, the researchers suspected this was an effect of the gas, so it started being like, "Let me out, this guy will stay in," kind of thing.
Oh, so I'm trying to make ultimatums and stuff.
Yeah. After 9 days, the first of them started screaming. He ran the length of the chamber repeatedly, yelling at the top of his lungs for 3 hours straight. He continued attempting to scream, but was only able to produce occasional squeaks. The researchers hypothesized that he physically tore his vocal cords.
Oh my god.
The most surprising thing about this behaviour is how the other captors reacted to it. They didn't react to it at all. They continued whispering to the microphones and each other, until the second of the captives started to scream. The 2 non-screaming captors took the books apart, smeared page after page of their own shit and piss, and pasted them calmly over the glass portholes, so no, you couldn't see in. The screaming stopped. So did the whispering. After 3 more days passed, the researchers checked the microphones hourly to make sure they were working, since they thought it was impossible that no sound could be coming from 5 people inside.
Surely they realised what had happened.
The oxygen consumption in the chamber indicated that all 5 must still be alive. In fact, it was the amount of oxygen 5 people would consume at a healthy level of strenuous exercise.
Okay.
On the morning of the 14th day, the researchers did something they said they would not do, and so to get a reaction from the captors. They used the intercom inside the chamber, hoping to evoke any response from inside, afraid that they were dead or vegetables. They announced, "We are opening the chamber to test the microphones. Step away from the door and lie flat on the floor, or you will be shot." To their surprise, they heard a single phrase and a calm response: "We no longer want to be freed."
Whoa.
Debate broke out among the researchers and the military forces funding the research. Unable to provoke any more response using the intercom, it was finally decided to open the chamber at midnight on the 15th day. The chamber was flush of the stimulant gas and filled with fresh air. Immediately, voices from the microphones began to object. 3 different voices began begging, as if pleading for the life of their loved ones, to turn the gas back on. The chamber was opened, and soldiers sent in to retrieve the test subjects. They began to scream louder than ever, and so did the soldiers when they saw what was inside. 4 of the 5 subjects were still alive, although no one could rightly call the state that any of them were alive. The food rations past day 5 had not been touched. There were chunks of meat from dead test subjects' thighs and chest, stuffed into the drain in the center of the chamber, blocking the drain and allowing 4 inches of water to accumulate on the floor. The water contained blood, piss, and feces.
Yeah.
All 4 surviving test subjects also had large portions of muscle and skin torn away from their bodies.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing about this. This is gross.
The destruction of flesh and exposed bone on their fingertips indicated that the wounds were self-inflicted by hand, not with teeth, as the researchers initially thought.
So they clawed themselves to pieces.
Closer examination of the position and angles of the wounds indicated that most of them were self-inflicted. The abdominal organs below the ribcage of all 4 test subjects had been removed, while the heart, lungs, and diaphragm remained in place. The skin and most of the muscles attached to the ribs had been ripped off and exposed the lungs to the ribcage. All the blood vessels and organs remained intact. They had just been taken out and laid on the floor, fanning out around the excavated but still living bodies of the test subjects. The digestive tract of all 4 could be seen to be working, digesting food. It quickly became apparent that they were digesting their own flesh that they had ripped off and eaten over the full course of the days instead of the food given.
Oh my god.
Most of the soldiers that were special operatives at the facility, many refused to return to the chamber to remove the sexual test subjects. They continued to scream to be left in the chamber and alternated between begging and demanding the gas be turned on. They didn't want to fall asleep.
Whoa.
To everyone's surprise, the test subjects put up a fierce fight in the process of being removed. One of the soldiers died from having his throat ripped out. Another was gravely injured by having his testicles ripped off and an artery in his leg severed by one of the subject's teeth.
What? That's so weird.
In the struggle, one of the 4 living test subjects had his spleen ruptured and he bled out almost immediately. The medical researchers attempted to sedate him, but this proved impossible. While trying to help him, he broke the ribs and arm of one doctor.
That's horrific. I wonder why they didn't want to fall asleep. Does it mention that later on?
Yeah, we get into
Okay.
that. Even after the man got away, he continued to scream and flail for another 3 minutes, struggling to attack anyone in reach and just repeating the word more over and over, weaker and weaker, until he finally fell silent. The surviving 3 test subjects were heavily restrained and moved to a medical facility. The 2 with attached vocal cords continuously begging for the gas, demanding to be kept awake. The most injured of the 3 was taken to only a surgical operating room that the facility had. In the process of the subject to have his organs placed within his body, it was found that he was effectively immune to the sedative that was given to him. He fought furiously against his restraints, with the anesthetic gas was brought to put him under. He managed to tear most of the way through a 4-inch wide leather strap on his waist.
What?
Even though the weight of the 200-pound soldier holding the wrist as well. So a guy was holding him down and he still managed to rip through it.
Oh well.
They kept giving him anesthetic to try and put him under. And the instant his eyelids fluttered and closed, his heart stopped. In the autopsy of the test subject that died on the operating table, it was found that his blood had triple the normal level of oxygen His muscles that were
That
attached,
explains his superhuman strength.
yeah, his muscles that were attached to a skeleton were badly torn and he had broken 9 bones in the struggle to be subdued. But as soon as he fell asleep, he died.
Wow.
The second survivor had been the first of the of the 5 group to start. The second survivor had been the first of the group of 5 to start screaming. His vocal cords destroyed. He was unable to beg or object to surgery, and he only reacted by shaking his head violently in disapproval when an anaesthetic gas was brought near him. He shook his head yes when someone just said reluctantly that they tried the surgery without anaesthetic, and did not react for the entire 6-hour procedure of replacing his organs and attempting to cover them with what remained of his skin. The surgeon presiding over him stated repeatedly that it should not be medically possible for the patient to still be alive. One terrified nurse assisting the surgery stated that she had seen the patient's mouth curl into a smile several times whenever his eyes met her. When the surgery ended, the subject looked at the surgeon and began to wheeze loudly, attempting to talk while struggling. Assuming this must be something of a drastic importance, the surgeon had a pen and pad fetched so the patient could write his message. It was simple. Keep cutting.
Huh.
The other 2 test subjects were given the same surgery, both without anaesthetic as well. Although they had to be injected with a paralytic for the duration of the operation, so they couldn't move, the surgeon found it impossible to perform the operation, while the patients laughed constantly. Once paralysed, the subjects could only follow the attending researchers with their eyes. The paralytic cleared their system in an abnormally short period of time, and they were soon to escape their bonds. The moment they could speak, they were again asking for the gas. The researchers tried asking why they injured themselves, why they ripped themselves up, and why they still wanted the gas. Their response was they must remain awake. All 3 subjects' restraints were reinforced, and they were placed into a chamber awaiting determination as to what to be done with them. Let go, killed, something. The commanding officer, an ex-KGB, of course, instead saw potential and wanted to see what would happen if they put back on the gas. The researchers strongly objected, but they were overruled.
Honestly, I would do that too.
Mm-hmm. In preparation for being sealed in the chamber again, the subjects were connected to an EEG monitor and had their restraints padded for long-term confinement. To everyone's surprise, all 3 stopped struggling the moment it was let slip that they were going to get the gas back. It was obvious that at this point all 3 were putting up a struggle to stay awake. One of the subjects that could speak was humming loudly and continuously. The mute subject was straining his legs against the leather bonds with all his might. The remaining subject was holding his head off his pillow and blinking rapidly, all trying to stay awake. The brain waves from the EEG monitor were normal, and most of the time... Wait, what? They were normal most of the time, but sometimes it flatlined inexplicably. It looks as if they were repeatedly suffering brain death before returning back to normal. So dying and waking up and dying and waking up.
Yeah, that's...
Do you know when you're falling asleep?
Yeah.
And you wake up and you fall asleep and you wake up?
But that was that and death.
Yeah.
So their brain probably realised if they fell asleep they'd actually die.
They'd
That's
die.
why they wanted to stay awake so bad.
Yeah. As they focused on paper scrolling out of the brainwave monitor, only one nurse saw his eyes slip shut the moment his head hit the pillow. His brainwaves immediately changed to that of deep sleep, then flatlined for the last time his heart stopped. The 2 remaining subjects of one that could speak started screaming to be sealed in now. His brainwaves showed that the same flatlines as one who had just died from falling asleep. The commander just gave the order to seal the chamber with both subjects inside, as well as 3 other researchers. One of the named 3 immediately drew his gun and shot the commander point blank between the eyes, then turned the gun on the mute subject and blew his brains out as well. He pointed the gun at the remaining subject, still restrained to a bed, as the remaining members of the medical and research team fled the room. "I won't be locked in here with these things, not with you," he screamed to the man strapped to the table. What are you?" he demanded. "I must know." The remaining subject smiled. Have you forgotten so easily, the subject asks. We are you. We are the madness that lurks within you all, begging to be free at every moment in your deepest animal mind. We are what you hide from in your beds every night. We are what you sedate into silence and paralyze when you go to the nocturnal haven where we cannot tread. The researchers paused, then aimed at the subject's heart and fired. The subject said, so nearly free. And that's it.
That's it. Wow, what are your thoughts?
Well, I reckon the idea of the monster comes out is like put away when you go to sleep.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I get that.
So if you don't sleep, the monster comes out and does whatever it does to you.
Oh yeah, okay, I see. It's like your animal nature fully takes over and stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting. I feel like that last monologue is probably a bit fictitious.
Oh, I don't think the whole thing is true at all. There might have been some weird experiment where they kept people...
No, I think the Russian sleep experiments were real. Like, they did those sorts of
Oh
things.
yeah, I reckon the Russians definitely trying to keep people awake, but like
them and like the Nazis really did do that.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm not saying they didn't. What I'm saying is that like what happened to them is false.
Yeah, potentially. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if people ripped their skin apart.
Oh, they went crazy, screaming and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's. I don't know. It's probably one of those 50-50 stories. It's like half true, half made up to make a better story.
Mm. Yeah,
it does seem. It kind of feels like, I don't know. It seems kind of the whole if they go to sleep they'll die thing kind of feels like it makes sense. Like I wouldn't know why it would make sense, but I feel like if you're awake for 2 weeks, then going to sleep would kind of potentially make things even worse. I don't know.
I wonder what actually happens to you. Surely there's something out there.
You'd probably get psycho, like you'd get crazy schizophrenia and stuff like that. Because some people will stay up a whole night deliberately just because they want some kind of experience the next day.
Yeah.
So yeah, because some people like the sleep deprivation kind of state, which is not something I've looked into at all because that's kind of like, well, I don't know. I'm curious to kind of see the benefits of it, if it might put you in some weird state for a day. But yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine even with the fake gas. Surely you'd just be dead after 15 days.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if anyone's been able to stay awake for 15 days. So.
Also, we don't really understand sleep even still. So it's kind of like what happens when you don't get it. I guess you can't really do that many experiments. I don't know.
Well, even if you have a stimulant gas, like how effective is that to keep someone awake?
Yeah, I guess
how
some
long
oxygen would make you
keep
energized.
that awake? Yeah.
Heaps of caffeine, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
You guys might actually know there's a grotesque figure that in the creepypasta that is implied to be one of the test subjects. It's a really famous photo. It's like an old skeleton hunched over.
Sure.
Big
Is
smile.
it on your screen?
Right, bring it up. Yeah.
Is it Jeff the Killer?
No.
Yeah. I in all those dictatorial regimes, there were some insane human experiments done.
Oh yeah,
the Nazis did insane things to the Jews. Kind of human, they'd take one body out of, one muscle out of one person.
That guy.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen that.
That's a famous photo.
Yeah.
Freaky ass.
And they'd put the muscle in another person and see if it worked and stuff like that. Like they would do the most absurd things like that and just put people in a room in no water just to watch what would happen to them. Yeah. So I can't imagine that they would never have tried really keeping people awake for as long as they could until they died. Yeah. Which is, what a horrible thought.
Yeah, it's pretty freaky.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past Soviet era Russia.
No.
Ex-KGB, definitely, bro. Yeah, so this story is extremely popular. It's probably one of the most popular creepypastas there is. And because it's so popular, there's a movie that's in production. That's being released this year, apparently.
Oh, cool.
Apparently.
And it's based off this story.
Yeah.
That's something I want to see now.
That'd be cool to see.
Well, that can be a movie we do a review on, even though it's not entirely horror.
Definitely.
Oh, I guess it would depend what the director wanted to do with it.
Depends if it's a movie.
You could make it a horror.
Oh yeah, no. Surely you'd make it a horror if you're basing it off the story, not just like a.
Yeah, but they could try to go for historical realism. No, they'd try to make
it
it
a horror, dude.
Yeah, hopefully.
All right. So that was the story.
That was the story of the week. That was an interesting one.
Yeah, and now we're gonna go to the weekly focus,
which is slasher films. So we started off with kind of a bit of a basic idea, but something to kind of continue the mood of the whole thing. So slashers. When you think of slashers, most people think of like Friday the 13th, Halloween, Child's Play, Psycho, things like that. And most of those are from like the golden era of slashers. So a bit like zombie movies, they kind of slowly, oh no, not slowly actually, they kind of burst on the scene and then gradually became very popular and then declined in popularity kind of after the 80s. Yeah.
90s, yeah.
So because when I looked at all this, it was like the golden age of slashers was like late 70s to late 80s-ish.
Yeah.
And that's somewhat coincides with zombie films as well.
Mm.
So I'm thinking maybe just that time period was just the best for horror movies generally. But a lot of people kind of say that Psycho started the genre, also Peeping Tom as well. They were kind of the first slashers. And I guess it was hard for directors and stuff to put violent, gory movies in the cinema.
Yeah.
A, because special effects weren't as good, and B, just because the kind of censorship laws were a different kind of strict back then.
Mm.
Like you couldn't really put that sort of stuff on screen. So there were books written as early as like the really early 1900s.
Yeah.
About, you know, killers that went on killing sprees and stuff. And that, yeah.
Well, wouldn't it start with like Jack the Ripper, like that kind of stuff?
Well, we don't know. Well, Jack the Ripper wasn't necessarily a slasher because he didn't necessarily like. Oh, well, I guess he did kind of, but yeah, maybe.
Because he was essentially like the boogeyman of industrial London.
Yeah, but he was a sex offender as well.
Yeah, that's true.
He wasn't just wanting to kill people. But
yeah.
maybe, yeah. I mean, Jack the Ripper makes sense. Maybe that's where some of these authors got their kind of inspiration. But yeah, so I guess after Psycho and movies like Peeping Tom, the genre kind of took a little bit to get going, like zombie movies. And in the 70s, 80s, there was like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween, Friday the 13th and stuff. And one thing that's kind of interesting about slashers, and I guess it happens a bit in horror movies, but really common in slashers is the whole trope of the anti-hero. Because in these movies you find yourself rooting for the killer. Like, even though the killer is technically the bad guy, a lot of movies like Friday the 13th and Halloween, we haven't seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre yet, it's on our list, but a lot of those movies you don't get to know the characters really. Like Friday the 13th just goes through so many characters, new characters every movie except for one which we'll get to soon with another trope, but you don't get to know them, you don't really know any backstory, so you don't really care about the characters, but you kind of enjoy watching Jason like hunt down the victims and more or less you're pumped to see the creative ways he kills them kind of thing. But the one time you kind of don't really go for the villain per se is when the other common trope in slasher films.
The final girl?
Yes. You
got it. At the end?
When the final girl is trying to escape. So
that's when you change to teams.
Yeah, so obviously Halloween with Laurie Strode and Michael. How he kind of like, you know, they chase around. You root for the final girl. Like you kind of want her to escape.
And Dr. Loomis.
And Dr. Loomis, yeah. Well, that's kind of another thing, because looking up kind of tropes for slashers, it didn't show up, but I think a lot of them have that that kind of wise old man character, like Crazy Ralph as well, who's like warning them, like
who knows about it.
And Dr. Loomis as well. Scream obviously has Sidney Campbell as the final girl, but doesn't really have a wise old person in it. But it doesn't have a wise old person. It has a wise young person.
Oh,
What's that man's name again?
Oh fuck.
What's his name?
The only good comic relief in slasher and horror movies.
You know the kid who loves the movie buff in Scream?
Yeah.
Because
I'll find it.
I'm Googling it. It's all good.
Oh, what's his name?
Because there's always the character who provides that advice and really knows what he's doing.
Stu.
No, Stu's the guy who kills. Stu's the killer.
Fuck, yeah, it is.
Randy is the guy from Scream, and he's not necessarily an old wise man, but he's the young wise man who kind of knows what's going on. So that's kind of a trope that I guess we just kind of picked up on. There's always the person that knows the go and knows what's happening, knows the rules, knows the history of the killer, something like that, and who's got to give the final girl advice.
Yeah.
However, they pretty much always end up getting killed. Randy doesn't die in Scream 1, but he dies in the later Scream, and they obviously realise that was a terrible mistake.
And Loomis is actually...
Loomis gets killed in number 2.
But he goes out with a big bang.
He goes out with a bang, trying to save...
He's kind of like his own trope.
Randy does not... I mean, Crazy Ralph doesn't go out with a bang.
He does make it to the second... He does make it to the second movie.
Yeah, he does make it to the second movie. And so I guess those are the 3 big tropes. There's probably other tropes that we're missing as well. But I just
the
find
stereotype like jock.
Oh yeah, of course the stereotypes, the hot girl, the slut, the nerd. Yeah.
So that's why you don't actually get to know those characters. That's why there's a fact of the anti-hero, because you know the villain and you don't know any of these characters.
You just know them as their stereotype.
Yeah. And then you'll get to like the last person. You're like, oh, I recognise this girl. This is the final girl.
It's always the most normal one. Like, she's not the nerdy one. She's not the hot, like, slutty one. She's just the normal in-between one.
Yeah.
And there's usually the funny guy who is kind of insecure because he can't get with chicks.
Then you have the hot girl, the jock, the nerd.
The token
black guy.
Well, not necessarily black. It could be the disabled one as well.
Oh yeah, the token minority.
Yes, the token minority in some sense. And that was kind of funny when Cabin in the Woods did that as well. And it was like, oh, finally a movie that plays on all the stereotypes again. Oh, the pothead.
Oh yeah, the pothead. Yeah. The druggie.
Yeah. But Cabin in the Woods, I did not rate. Didn't like that movie. I mean, I liked it at the start, and then it just got stupid. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but
I think I've seen it.
It just got dumb. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anywho. So you find yourself rooting for the hero until it's the final girl, and then you kind of root for the final girl. So it's fun, and I think my favorite part of watching slashers is just the way the killer just churns through the victims, and
you're waiting for a cool kill.
And it's a fun movie to watch with someone else when you haven't seen it, because you're like picking out who's going to die first. Oh, who's going to die first? Oh, wait. Oh, what? They've gone out the back to investigate a strange noise. Oh, they're gone.
You're going to split up. You're dead.
Oh, those two are having sex. Well, they're gone.
Oh, she's naked. She's going to die. You know? Like,
yes, naked. No, they don't stand a chance.
Yeah. And it's like just popcorn like fest. Like,
and it's
just waiting for those kills, just being like, oh, what's going to happen next?
Which kind of leads to my next point, which is the comedic element of slashers. Like we say here, it's kind of like it's they can still be serious movies, but they can have that funny element of being so stereotypical that you know exactly what's going to happen. Like Randy in Scream, when he's kind of saying, all right, never have sex in a horror movie. Never say I'll be right back, because you won't be. And then, all that sort of stuff.
And then what happens? And they all die.
Yeah, and he's right. But it's kind of funny, though, because it's kind of too cliche. Like, if anyone were to make a modern-day slasher film and had someone say, oh, I'm just going out the back, I'll be right back, the whole audience would, laugh. Be like, oh, of course you're not going to be right back.
And the thing about Scream is they jumped on that straight away.
Yeah.
They use it to their advantage. They use it as a comic relief, but you know it was serious. You knew this person was going to die, and that would happen.
Yeah, Scream is so good. Because it's the twist of the century.
Yeah.
The twist is amazing. So underrated.
I'm not the first one. Just the first one. The first Scream. The rest.
The rest was still.
Yeah, the second one was alright.
I still liked them.
The first one was.
No, remember the third one was pretty crap, but then the fourth one was much better. The first one is awesome.
Top class.
Yeah.
Top class movie.
Incredible movie.
I don't know how they did it because they had everything going against them. Because you have because it's on. Well, was it really the down? It's after these slashes come
it was late 90s.
All the stereotypes are still there.
It's about 10 years late. And 10 years is usually an awkward time period because it's not long enough to become nostalgic for something.
Yeah.
But it's too recent that it can still be considered lame or cringe. You know that kind of thing. Like if someone plays a song that's like 7 or 8 years old, it's kind of like, oh god, I remember this song. But then you wait 15 years and it's like, oh yes, this song, yeah. And so that was the thing. Scream had a lot going against it, but it was self-aware. It wasn't like.
I think that's why it worked because it was.
But it wasn't comedic. It wasn't. Wes Craven wasn't like, oh, I don't want to like try to scare my audience and not be able to, so I'm just gonna make it a comedy, which I hate when directors do that.
Because like horror movies that use comedy doesn't always work very well.
I want to watch a horror movie.
Yeah, but Scream, even though it's a slasher, it's still scary. There's still scary parts. You're like, oh, fuck. There's still like scary moments, right? Yeah. But they use like comedy to like heighten the movie. They use it to play on stereotypes already there.
But it's not even, the movie itself isn't funny. It's funny to the audience because of how self-aware it is.
Yes, it's extremely self-aware. And that comes forward with like Randy's character. Yeah,
but it was still a proper slasher movie, which is why it was so good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Scream is like an all-timer. It gets kind of underrated. People get all antsy about this sort of thing. If Scream was released in the 70s, everyone would say it was one of the best movies ever. But it's just because, like, you know...
Yeah.
Some people don't feel nostalgic about it. Well, I mean, they would nowadays, but, like... Because it's, like, considered a more modern movie. No, it is a really good movie. Like,
Scream is insanely good.
And then, after Scream, it more or less declined in popularity. Yeah. And nowadays, like
multiple sequels, multiple soft reboots.
Yeah, nowadays, it's kind of just remakes and reboots and
they never they don't get
prequels and sequels and like nothing original. I mean, we've said it before, but Halloween 2018 was a good movie.
Yeah, it was alright.
It was a good movie. I'd put it the third best behind 1 and 2.
Yeah,
I think it was better than the rest of them. Although I think I've only seen 3 or maybe 4.
3 was the witch one, and then they had like the soft reboot again.
Yeah, and it was obviously better than the 2007 Halloween or 2009 Halloween. Like I've never watched that whole movie, but I've seen clips of it, and it looks shit.
Yeah.
But then again, I've never watched the whole thing, but I really liked Halloween 2018. So it was like, okay, cool, you made a good slasher again, and we still haven't seen Child's Play from last year.
Yeah, but, I mean, so they kind of like went under the radar. We knew it was coming out. We were like, oh yeah, we should go see this. And then it came out and we didn't realise it came out.
Yeah, I don't know why. But that's the thing, so it's kind of declined in popularity, and as always, I wish the movie industry would go take a break from making shit, pointless films like the Rock films and make some money.
Yeah.
Make a good old fashioned slasher.
Yeah.
It's the 2020s now. You have a new decade. You could make an iconic character.
Without a reboot.
Yes, do it, please.
Yeah. You need to remake so many characters, but
you have the whole formula in front of you. Like, if you use the exact same formulas for all slasher movies, but just change the character and the setting,
and make it just original, come up with some.
Then it's original. Yeah. It's not hard.
Doesn't really have to be top class like Scream does.
Yeah.
But like, just make it original.
But if you made another Friday the 13th, but instead made it something else with a different looking character who, instead of wearing a hockey mask, he wore like a vendetta mask. Or, the anonymous mask or something.
Yeah.
And he used a pickaxe as his weapon of choice. And then you set it at a I don't know, like a university or something like that, it'd be like, oh, that's cool.
There you go.
You know, there you go. And you just follow the same formula.
Yeah.
I should be running this shit. So yeah, have you got anything more to add about slashers generally?
Not really. I just think that, like you said, they need to make a new one. Basically, make a new character, make a new thing.
I think they're arguably my favourite subgenre.
They're definitely the most entertaining. It's so entertaining.
Most entertaining. Yeah, you're never gonna get. Well, Scream, you get a really well thought out twist and stuff, so I guess that counts. But you rarely get a really interesting storyline.
Scream's an outlier with slashers. Scream's
Yeah.
like the only one that's really next level.
Yeah, you won't get a really like deep storyline like Rosemary's Baby or Silence of the Lambs or something. But you'll be hella entertained.
Yeah, definitely
that much.
Alright.
And now onto
our discovery. So, if you guys don't know about these are the Dead Sea Scrolls.
The Dead Sea Scrolls.
So they were found ages ago.
Like a long time ago.
Yeah. And they've been around forever. There's been a recent new discovery related to them. But they're found in caves. We're at the Judean desert in the Qumran caves.
Uh-huh.
And there's a bunch of different texts. They say it's up to 25,000 different pieces of writing. Right?
Well.
So heaps of text.
Yeah.
And then about 40 of them are Hebrew scriptures. 30% are text from.
And are they ones left out of the Bible?
So not canonized Hebrew Bible text as well. Like the Book of Enoch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Psalms 152 to 155.
Oh, there are more Psalms.
Yeah. So it's uncanonized.
Yeah.
Hebrew Bible text.
Whoa.
Basically. And then a bunch of other stuff from Judaism, the rule of blessing, that kind of thing.
Sheesh.
And so most of them are in Hebrew, some in Greek, so different parts of time. Most of them were written on papyrus, and some were on leather. So recently, one of the discoveries is that using some sort of DNA testing, they're able to use genetic analysis to help figure out which animal they use for leather, so they can hopefully distinguish more of where the writings were written, and because they obviously weren't found. They obviously weren't written in caves in the Judean desert in the Dead Sea, so this has helped distinguish them, kind of hopefully where they originated from.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look where the animal is. Yeah.
Yeah. So some of them are sheepskin, some of them are cow skin. But the thing is that there's so many texts, right? There's heaps of texts.
Yeah.
So they're all coming from different parts of different areas and different times. Just
Yeah.
all into one kind of thing. So it's really hard to distinguish. But what this has done is that it's eliminated forgeries that were considered real Dead Sea Scrolls. And some of them in the Museum of the Bible, and nearly all of them are forgeries.
Oh, really?
So it's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah. I wonder how they'll tie in together. Like if they were written by similar people or something like that.
Well, they estimated the creation of these from 400 BC to 300 BC, so it could be a multiple people over multiples of time collecting it and putting it together. But I reckon there'll be some really interesting things in the text. A lot of them you can't make out because they're either disintegrated over time and destroyed, or they're missing certain things, and some of them just you can't read because language isn't there anymore.
I'm interested in the books that they left out of the Bible deliberately. There's a lot of talk about the Book of Enoch.
Yeah.
And apparently that's got some real interesting stuff in it. I've tried reading it and listening to it, it's just really boring. But I feel like if I read it properly and took the time, I'd gain something at least. Because even if it is a complete forgery and like there's no truth to it at all, it's probably got some interesting stuff written down, even if it's not actually like a, holy text or anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's. And did you hear that in the news?
No, definitely not. This was really recent as well.
Yeah, why do they put cool things like this in the news?
So it's interesting that they're still making progresses in all these archaeological finds and stuff like that. And what I like to believe is that there's so much to learn from history, and there's so much we don't know, and so much is that obviously has been changed over time. And like, what's that famous quote that the winners write the history? So
history's written by the winners.
Yeah, exactly. So like, what's the actual truth?
Yeah.
But yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, for sure. That's I would be very interested to see like what it, like so you. Sorry, I'm kind of not sure how to say this. So you said there was stuff about the Book of Enoch.
Yeah, so the Book of Enoch is some of it's grabbed from these scriptures.
Oh,
so some of these scriptures make up the.
So the scriptures contain the Book of Enoch.
Yeah.
So there's more to it then.
Yeah.
Well, how did they get the Book of Enoch originally then? Someone must have translated.
Well, there's certain scriptures in this that make up the Book of Enoch. Okay. So various fragments were found in the scrolls that make up the Book of Enoch. So it's like almost a separate entity, but they correlate. If you get what I mean.
Hang on. So they had like extended parts of the Book of Enoch. Is that what
you mean? Kind of.
Okay.
Let's read it here.
Yeah, boot that up. Interesting. 25,000 pieces.
Okay, so various fragments found in Dead Sea Scrolls were proof that the Book of Enoch was known by Jews and early Christians.
Oh, okay. So there you go. It was deliberately left out of the Bible.
Yes, so it's like you said, there's almost additions to the Book of Enoch in this.
Because a lot of people say,
and continue from it.
A lot of people say all these books came after the fact, and that's why they're forgeries. But there are two types of religious people, I think. The type that's got an excuse for why everything is left out of the Bible, and I don't mean to offend anybody, but it's kind of like, they're all written after the fact, they're all written 100 years later, they're all forgeries and stuff. And then there's the ones who believe the kind of more mystic side of Christianity and feel as if there is stuff that's deliberately left out to kind of bend the truth a little bit.
Yeah.
And if the early Jews and Christians knew about the Book of Enoch, the question is, why didn't they put it in the Bible?
Yeah. So the Book of Enoch in Judaism is considered not part of the biblical canon. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not.
Except some Christian denominations accept the Book of Enoch.
Yeah. There's one in Nigeria or something. It's in the Nigerian Bible. It's in there.
So it's in Christianity. It's.
Do they have a date for when that specific text would have been written? Because if it's anything BC, then obviously the writers of the New Testament.
Older section. No, it's all BC. So
Oh.
Older sections. I think it's hard to tell because it's so old, but some were written 100 years before others were written. So some was estimated to be written from 300 to 200 BC, and some of the later parts was written 100 BC. Okay.
So it's stuff that could have been added to but I guess the New Testament is all about Jesus, so that's kind of. It was too late for the Old Testament.
It's considered in Old Testament Christianity.
Oh, okay. But the Book of Genesis and stuff was written 4,000 plus years ago.
Yeah.
It was 2, 3, 4,000 BC, so that's hard to know for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
So, just new light on the history of
where these came out. So
like
Enoch predated Jesus.
Yeah.
And there are
Enoch is traditionally the great grandfather of Noah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew there was some family tie-in.
Yeah.
I would love to have, if there is like a god or some figure like that, to have it all explained to me and all have all the pieces put together.
Yeah, it'd be crazy.
It'd be so. Because there's someone that knew it.
Yeah. So these Dead Sea Scrolls are like almost writing of the world at the time, kind of thing. So they talk about the Bible and the Book of Enoch and stuff like that.
They give commentaries on it.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
A lot of them are, it's not really, you can't really tell because a lot of it's all kind of like screwed up.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of copies from Hebrew scriptures.
Okay.
So it might have been, yeah. And
wow.
That's a discovery.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
The Book of Enoch is something I really want to like read properly, but just it's so difficult. Like it's such a battle.
Yeah.
Like I can't just put on an audiobook or just like read it. Like I have to be
sit down.
Be highlighting as you go. Like you can't. It's one of those things you can't just like casually read.
Yeah.
But a lot of people seem to be obsessed with that one. Do they have other gospels or books or anything in it?
The Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah. Like, do they know?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Like the Gospel of Thomas or something. I think that's one.
So, the ones they mention, the Book of Enoch, the Book of Jubilees, the Book of Tobit, Wisdom of Sirach,
I don't know.
and Psalms 152 to 155.
Oh yeah, that's right. Extra Psalms. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder why they didn't put those Psalms in.
Let's have a look. See what comes up.
Because I assume the Psalms must stop at like 150 then.
I'm not sure.
Probably makes sense. That's very interesting. That's a huge discovery. How did the parallel universe get so much attention?
Isaiah.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that.
There is Genesis in it.
Oh, extra books of Genesis?
No, just association.
Oh, okay.
So like mentions and stuff.
Okay.
Genesis, Exodus.
Yeah, that's the second book.
Samuel, Ezekiel.
Yeah, they're already in the Old Testament.
All the Old Testament Psalms, so 86, 126, 44 has been found. Book of Noah.
Just other copies of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like almost fragments of them.
Yeah. Where did they find them? Oh, in that sea.
In the cave. So there was a whole cave system where all these things were found.
I wonder why they put them in caves.
And in different caves, maybe like some
to try to protect them.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Wow, they went this long without being found.
Well, they were found in 1946 to 1956. So there's massive cave excavation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they were discovered up to 12 caves. And they found all these parchments in different caves.
Interesting.
Spread it out. So who knows?
Who actually found it, do you know? Just archaeologists? Or?
Yeah.
Man, that's going to be like your...
Oh, discovery by a shepherd, Muhammad Ed-Dib.
So a random shepherd stumbled across it in a cave.
Yeah.
That seems like...
So he discovered...
cool bullshit.
He discovered 7 scrolls housed in jars in a cave.
Why was he so deep in these caves that no human had ever been in before?
Yeah. These caves are weird because so they're really high up, so you can't just really walk into them.
Oh, what do you mean they're really high up? Oh, right, you have to climb up
the
the
floor is
okay.
Yeah.
So he just went for a stroll one day and...
Well, he was a shepherd, he might have saw in the distance or something.
But aren't they in the desert?
Who knows?
Yeah, maybe the fact that
he might have to walk away. He might have to go through something, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's heaps and heaps. So they find them in multiple caves and...
Wow.
Found some proverbs as well.
Okay, proverbs are always good. I wonder if it will shed new light on how we interpret like religion and stuff.
Well, yeah. Hopefully.
I mean, I guess the gatekeepers are too powerful to change anything, but that would be an interesting idea if something did happen. I don't know. Well.
Yeah.
That's one hell of a weekly discovery.
Sure.
How did the parallel universe fast get so much attention and then that got nothing?
Yeah.
What a joke.
Who knows?
Anyway.
Shall we wrap it up?
Yeah. Okay, what's your quote of the week?
So this goes to Friday the 13th. Famous slasher.
Yeah.
You see, Jason was my son. And today is his birthday.
That's when you realise.
That's the biggest one of the really big twists in a slasher movie is the mum being the killer.
Yeah. And if you don't know that, you'll get killed by Ghostface, because we all remember in the first scene of Scream, she says Jason's the original killer, but it's not, it's his mum.
Yeah.
So very important to know that bit of trivia.
Yeah.
And my quote of the week is, the movies don't create psychos, the movies make the psychos more creative. Billy Loomis in Scream, also another slasher. And I laughed at that one. I thought it was funny, and it's good because potentially strict parents or Karens who think that watching horror movies is going to make the kid turn into a psycho. No, it won't. If your kid's a psycho, they're a psycho anyway.
Yeah.
Normal people aren't going to become or be created as psycho by
a movie or
by a horror movie.
Or some shit like that.
It's shadow work, Carl Jung stuff. We all have a shadow. Express it through watching horror movies. If that's your shadow, don't take it out on someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I always thought that was funny because the way he says it, and it was a creative line as well.
Yeah.
Anyway,
right.
That's it for this week. Hope you enjoyed episode 2. We'll be back same time next week. And leave any questions. Did we get any questions this week? No, we didn't. Leave us a question. We had 2 or 3 last week. So leave us a question if you liked it. And we will see you in the next one. Goodbye.